My name is Joe, and I was a simple grandfather who became a criminal in my own home because of a lie. The sun was just starting to go down over the fence in the backyard. I liked this time of day because the air was cool and the dirt felt soft under my hands. I spent most of my afternoons in my garden. It was not a big garden, just a small patch of land where I grew tomatoes and peppers. To me, those plants were more than just food. They were a way to show my grandkids that good things take time and hard work. I was kneeling on a foam pad, pulling a few weeds from around the base of a beefsteak tomato plant. My granddaughter, Lily, was sitting nearby in the grass. She was only 6 years old and liked to watch the ladybugs crawl on the leaves. Her younger brother, Leo, was busy digging a hole in the dirt with a plastic shovel. This was my peace. This was why I had agreed to move in with my son, Thomas, and his wife, Elena. Thomas is a good man, but he works too much. He is an engineer and spends 10 hours a day at an office. When he bought this big house, he asked me to come live with them. He said it would be good for the kids to have their grandfather around. I agreed because I wanted to be helpful. I sold my own small house and gave Thomas half the money to help with their down payment. I kept the other half in a savings account for my retirement. Elena was different from my son. She did not care about the garden or the dirt. She cared about how things looked on her phone. Every morning, she would spend an hour doing her makeup and putting on expensive clothes. Then, she would take hundreds of pictures of herself. She called herself an influencer. She posted photos of her jewelry, her shoes, and the fancy dinners she made Thomas buy for her. "Joe, watch out for the dirt," Elena said as she walked onto the porch. She was wearing a white dress and holding her phone on a stick. "I am filming a video for my followers. I don't want you or those messy plants in the background. It ruins the aesthetic." I looked up at her and nodded. "I'll keep the kids on this side of the yard, Elena." She didn't say thank you. She just turned her back and started talking to her phone in a high, fake voice. She told her followers about her blessed life and how hard she worked. I knew the truth. Thomas paid for everything. Elena spent her days shopping and posing. But I kept my mouth shut. I wanted to keep the peace for the sake of my son. Over the next few months, things started to get worse. Elena began to treat me like a servant instead of a family member. She would leave her dirty dishes on the table for me to wash. She would drop her dry cleaning on the floor and tell me to go pick it up. If I didn't do it right away, she would tell Thomas that I was getting old and forgetful. One Tuesday afternoon, I was in the kitchen making a sandwich. Elena came in and looked at me with disgust. "The house smells like fertilizer, Joe," she said. "Did you bring that trash inside?" "It is just my boots, Elena," I said quietly. "I left them by the back door." "Well, move them to the garage," she snapped. "I have friends coming over later. These are people with money. They don't want to see your dirty garden gear." I took my sandwich and went to my room in the basement. It was a small room, but it was mine. I had my books there and a small television. I felt like a guest who had stayed too long. I started to notice that Elena was looking for ways to get me out. She wanted my room for a walk-in closet or a filming studio. She didn't want a dirty old man living in her perfect house. The real trouble started when Elena began losing things. It started with a pair of gold earrings. She screamed for 20 minutes about how they were missing. She looked under the couch and in the bathroom. Then, she looked at me. "Joe, did you see my earrings?" she asked. Her eyes were narrow. "No, Elena. I don't go into your bedroom," I told her. "Well, they didn't." "Just walk away," she said. She told Thomas that night that she didn't feel safe with a stranger in the house. Thomas defended me, but I could see the stress on his face. He didn't want to fight with his wife. A week later, a designer watch went missing. This time, Elena didn't just ask me. She searched my room while I was out in the garden. I came inside to find my clothes thrown on the floor and my books tossed aside. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Looking for my watch," she said. She didn't look sorry at all. "I know you're hiding things, Joe. You probably want to sell them to buy more seeds and dirt." I didn't find the watch, and neither did she. But I knew I had to do something. I was an electrician for 40 years before I retired. I knew how technology worked. I decided to protect myself. I went to a local electronics store and bought a very small camera. It was the size of a button. I didn't put it in her room. That would be wrong. I put it in the hallway, hidden inside a small decorative clock I had on my shelf. The camera pointed toward the coat rack where I kept my heavy gardening jacket. I also had a small camera in my room, hidden behind a picture frame of my late wife. I wanted to see if someone was planting things or taking things. A few days went by. Elena was being very quiet. She didn't complain about the smell of the garden. She even smiled at me once. That made me nervous. When someone who hates you starts being nice, they are usually up to something. I spent my time with Mr. Henderson, my neighbor. He was a retired police officer. We would sit on his porch and talk about his time on the force. He was a sharp man. I told him about the tension in the house. "Keep your head down, Joe," Mr. Henderson told me. "And keep your eyes open. People like that always leave a trail." The following Friday was the night everything changed. Thomas was coming home late from work. Elena was dressed up for a gala. She was wearing a very expensive diamond necklace. She had posted about it all day, telling her followers it was worth $20,000. I was in the living room, reading a book to Leo. Lily was asleep on the rug. Elena came downstairs, looking like a movie star. She stopped at the coat rack and put on her evening wrap. She looked at me and gave a strange, cold smile. "I'll be back late," she said. "Don't get dirt on the carpet while I'm gone." She walked out the door. About 10 minutes later, she came back inside. She was screaming. Her face was red and she was crying. "My necklace!" she yelled. "It's gone! I took it off for a second to fix my wrap and now it's gone." I stood up, confused. "Elena, calm down. Where did you put it?" "I put it right here on the table," she screamed. She pointed to a small table near the coat rack. "And now it's gone. You were the only one in here, Joe." "I was reading to Leo," I said. "I didn't touch your necklace." She didn't listen. She grabbed her phone and called the police. She told them her father-in-law had stolen a $20,000 piece of jewelry. I sat on the couch, stunned. Leo started to cry because his mom was being so loud. Within 15 minutes, 2 police cars were in the driveway. The blue and red lights flashed against the living room walls. The neighbors, including Mr. Henderson, came out onto their porches to see what was happening. "That's him." Elena pointed at me as the officers walked in. "He's a crook. He stole my necklace. He's been stealing from me for weeks." The officers were young. They looked at me, an old man in a flannel shirt and jeans with dirt under my fingernails. They looked at Elena, a beautiful woman in a fancy dress, crying her eyes out. They believed her. "Sir, stand up and put your hands behind your back," the first officer said. "Officer, I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "Please, let's just talk." "We will talk at the station," the officer said. He pulled out his handcuffs. They led me out of the house. I had to walk past all my neighbors. I saw Mr. Henderson standing by his fence. He looked worried, but he gave me a small nod. I felt the cold metal of the handcuffs on my wrists. I felt like my life was over. They put me in the back of the patrol car. Elena stood on the porch, holding her phone. She was filming the police car driving away. I knew she was going to post it. She was going to tell the world that her father-in-law was a thief. They took me to the station and put me in a small room. A detective came in an hour later. He was an older man with tired eyes. He put a plastic bag on the table. Inside the bag was the diamond necklace. "We found this in the pocket of your gardening jacket, Joe," the detective said. "It was tucked deep inside the lining." I felt a chill go down my spine. "I didn't put it there." "Then how did it get there?" he asked. "Your daughter-in-law says you have a history of taking things. She says you're bitter because she's successful." "I have something you need to see," I told him. "I have a camera in my house. I also have a neighbor who can tell you where I was." The detective looked interested. "A camera?" "Yes. It's hidden in a clock in the hallway. It records to a cloud account on my phone. Here is my password." I gave him my phone and a login. I told him to look at the footage from 7 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. tonight. The detective left the room. I sat there for a long time. My heart was beating fast. I knew what was on that video, but I was still scared. 2 hours passed. Finally, the detective came back. He wasn't alone. Thomas was with him. Thomas looked like he had been crying. He wouldn't look me in the eye. "Joe, we're letting you go," the detective said. He unlocked the handcuffs. "The charges are being dropped." "What happened?" I asked. "We watched the video," the detective said. "And we had a talk with your neighbor, Mr. Henderson. He saw your daughter-in-law through the window. He saw her walk back into the house, take the necklace off, and shove it into your coat pocket while you were in the other room with the kids." Thomas finally looked up. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was capable of this." "Where is she?" I asked. "She's in the other room," the detective said. "We're arresting her for filing a false police report and for the theft of her own insured jewelry. It turns out, she had already filed an insurance claim for those missing earrings and the watch last week. She was trying to get the insurance money and get you out of the house at the same time." We walked out into the main area of the station. Elena was sitting on a bench, handcuffed. She wasn't crying anymore. She looked angry. When she saw me, she started to yell. "You ruined everything," she screamed. "You and your stupid little garden. You don't belong in our world." I walked over to her. The police officer stood close by. I looked at her, and I didn't feel angry. I just felt sad for her. She was so obsessed with things that she had lost her soul. "Watch it again," I said to her. "What?" she spat. "The video," I said. "Watch it again. Look at your face when you put that necklace in my pocket. You look like a monster, Elena. Not an influencer. Not a star. Just a person who hates an old man for no reason." The police led her away. Thomas and I walked to his car. The drive home was very quiet. Thomas kept saying he was sorry, but I told him to save it. He had let his wife treat his father like garbage for a year. He had seen the way she spoke to me and did nothing. "I can't live there anymore, Thomas," I said as we pulled into the driveway. "Dad, please." "She's gone. I'm filing for divorce. I can't stay with someone who would do that to my family." "I'm glad to hear that," I said. "But I'm moving back to my own space. I'm going to use my savings to buy a small cottage. You can bring the kids to see me whenever you want." I moved out the next day. Mr. Henderson helped me pack my things. He told me he had seen Elena through the window because he was suspicious of her for a long time. He had been watching out for me. "Thanks, Jim," I said to him. "You saved my life." "Neighbors look out for each other," he said with a smile. I found a small house about 20 minutes away. It had a big backyard with plenty of sunlight. The first thing I did was plant a row of rose bushes. Roses are harder to grow than tomatoes. They need more care and more patience. But they are beautiful when they bloom. A few months passed. Elena's case went to court. She lost her social media accounts because of the scandal. Her followers didn't like a woman who framed her father-in-law for a crime. She ended up with a prison sentence and a large fine. Thomas followed through with the divorce. He got custody of Lily and Leo. Now my days are different. I wake up early and have my coffee on the porch. The air is fresh and there is no one to tell me I smell like dirt. Every Saturday, Thomas brings the kids over. We spend the whole morning in the garden. Lily helps me prune the roses. She is very careful with the thorns. Leo still likes to dig holes, but now he helps me plant new things. We have a small bench under a big oak tree. In the afternoons, I sit there and read to them. We read stories about adventures and people who do the right thing. Thomas sits on the grass and watches us. He looks more relaxed now. He still apologizes sometimes, but I told him we have moved past it. He has learned that a house is just a building, but a family is something you have to protect. The neighborhood treats me differently now, too. People stop by to ask for gardening advice. They saw me in handcuffs, but they also saw the truth come out. They respect me because I didn't get loud or angry. I just stayed true to who I was. I looked at my hands the other day. They are covered in calluses and dirt. They are the hands of a working man. Elena thought these hands were something to be ashamed of. She thought they were the hands of a thief. But these hands have built things, fixed things, and grown things. These hands hold my grandchildren and turn the pages of their favorite books. I have realized that you cannot control what people think of you. You can only control what you do. If you live a good life and work hard, the truth eventually finds its way to the light. My garden is blooming now. The red roses are bright and strong. They remind me that even after a cold winter, life can always start over. I am not a rich man in the way Elena wanted to be. I don't have gold necklaces or thousands of followers. But as I sit here with a grandkid on each side of me, listening to the birds in the trees, I know I am the luckiest man in the world. I have my peace, I have my pride, and I have the love of my family. That is all I ever really wanted. If this story resonated with you, join our channel by liking and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.